So it is Tuesday evening, and bizarrely, I think it's time for a little crime recap for the week. Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's not Friday. It's not Saturday. It's not the end of the week. It's Tuesday, and we need a recap about what's going on this week because there's a lot of shenanigans and skullduggery as normal, but it seems to be elevated a notch or two this week with the fallout from the Donaghmede Tusla-related stabbing incident last week, where a Ukrainian teenager who had just arrived in Ireland seeking a better life managed to last approximately 3 days before he was allegedly murdered by a Somali youth who is now being remanded into custody as a result of that business in Donaghmede. Of course, yesterday morning, we had that heinous attack in City West grounds, Saggart in Dublin. The attacker has been arrested and charged today with the assault on the girl. And it apparently turns out he's an African asylum seeker who's been in Ireland for at least 6 years or round about 6 years and has failed in his asylum application and was actually subject to a deportation order since March. This is a massive headache for the government this week, especially when, to be honest, 24 hours ago, they were all partying like it was 1999 for Heather Humphreys and for Catherine Connolly as they get ready for the run-up to the presidential election, which is a sham election. Also, that's another story altogether. Gerrymandering and shenanigans to obscure Maria Steen from becoming part of that ballot when it becomes patently obvious that she would have wiped the floor with any of the other contenders. Jim Gavin, of course, has dropped out because of improprieties with rental payments to a tenant that he had when he wasn't even registered as a landlord. And tonight, in about an hour or two's time, should be a big demonstration taking place at City West Asylum Hub in Saggart in Dublin as a reaction to the heinous events that happened there yesterday. And it seems to be getting a lot of international media attention also. But tonight, this is a story that's slipping under the radar. There's only one outlet so far that I've seen reporting in this one, that outlet being Grip Media. It's to do with the second day in court for the Somalian youth. We're told he's a youth that was involved in the Donaghmede murder last week. Now, this boy was in court yesterday, and we heard that he was flanked by 7 gardaí, fully kitted out in protective gear. He was to be taken to a youth detention facility. He was to undergo urgent psychiatric care. Well, he's back in court again today, charged with the murder of Ukrainian youth Vadym Davydenko, who was in care in Dublin, has been further remanded in custody pending directions from the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions. The teenager, is he a teenager? Has he got any ID? Arrived at the Children's Court yesterday / today. Both days he's been there. He's been under heightened security for a second hearing, surrounded by 5 Guardian helmets and protective gear. So I believe from memory it was 7 yesterday, so it's 5 today. Maybe they think he's less of a risk on Tuesday. They only need 5. Maybe if he appeared tomorrow, he would only need 3. But apparently he's got a medical appointment next week that he has to make. And he's getting urgent care. Isn't that nice? How many of you people out there would love a medical appointment with a doctor next week, would love emergency surgery next week, would love to have a sit down with someone because your nerves are bad, but you're on the waiting list and you're never, ever going to see anyone? Well, not the case for this lad. And I say lad in inverted commas. So, Vadym, the Ukraine, had recently graduated from high school in Kiev and traveled to Ireland. Was here for 3 days before he was fatally injured. There's an irony in that. He claims he's running from danger in Ukraine, and he manages 3 days in Dublin before he's dead. It's not much of an advertisement, is it, for any other asylum seekers coming here? Sadly. So Gardaí overcame the Somalian, and the rest, as they say, is history. He was hospitalized after sustaining non-life-threatening injuries. Apparently, his arms have been bandaged up from the elbow to the wrist, getting emergency treatment. Friday, he was arrested and detained, where he made no reply, being charged with murder. On Saturday, the accused was remanded to Oberstown Detention Campus in Dublin with an order that he receive urgent psychiatric and medical attention. Urgent attention? Many of you guys are getting urgent attention, medical, physical, or psychiatric for that matter. Some of us need it. Dressed in a white t-shirt, black tracksuit bottoms, and slippers. That's interesting. He's got himself a pair of slippers since yesterday, because when he appeared yesterday, he had no slippers. He was barefoot and mumbling to himself, apparently. But there is a translator present, of course, at the Irish taxpayers' expense. He's getting treated in the hospital, jumping queues probably at the Irish taxpayers' expense. Extra gardaí laid on at the Irish taxpayers' expense. Detained in this detention facility at the Irish taxpayers' expense. Legal aid at the Irish taxpayers' expense. And if he should go to prison, at the Irish taxpayers' expense. And should he be deported, it will be at the Irish taxpayers' expense, costing thousands and thousands of euro, probably on some chartered flight to Mogadishu. What a joke. Detective Sergeant Mark Quill of Coolock applied for a 4-week adjournment, so he would be back on the 18th of November via video link. Probably because it's cheaper than paying for all these extra man hours of gardaí to be escorting this thug to and from the detention centre. And who's looking out for him when he's there? Is he just put in the general population with those young lads or whoever he's in there with? Or is he being flanked by 5 protective geared gardaí? Judge Shalom Binchy, that's some name, remanded the teenager, who has yet to indicate a plea, in continuing custody. She said it was a foregone conclusion. Gardaí must first obtain the directions. I'd say they're pretty hesitant to let this one out. I said yesterday, stick him in a potted cell with a straitjacket on, or put him in a box, nail it shut, and send him back in a cargo hold to Mogadishu. He's in a medical appointment next week. The court was asked to recommend that Garda Síochána provide logistical assistance. In other words, more armed and protected gardaí taken off other duties to escort this thug to and from a medical appointment, to and from a detention centre. Is that to ensure safe transport, said the judge. Yes, correct, Judge. She said, though she could not make it an order, she recommended the gardaí facilitate a safe travel. His safe travel? No, the safety of the ambulance crew or the medical staff, I would say. It's for their safety, not for his. An interpreter then translated for the teenager, who nodded, yeah, before being escorted from the courtroom. An interpreter was obviously directed to be there again. More money, more money. 2 representatives from TUSLA. What? The Child and Family Agency also attended the proceedings to act as responsible adults. Good grief, TUSLA acting as responsible adults. That's the first time they've done it this week. Children Act states that a parent or guardian must attend a juvenile's criminal. So there's 2 other so-called workers, I don't know who they are, being taken off other duties to go to court to be there with this guy as he sits and mumbles with his interpreter. But anyway, imagine the cost this is racking up in the space of a week. Can you imagine the cost? So that's where we're at now. Just a reminder also, the protest, if you're in the area, If you're in and around City West, get down to the hotel tonight if you feel led to do so. There's a peaceful protest there, and Philip Dwyer should be live streaming that. I'll probably do an update on that later on tonight, depending on what happens. But for now, share this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm Rick Munn, No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.